And interestingly enough, the last guy in the world who you would expect to write you on a regular basis, Walter Flanagan, wrote the most. Walter would write, I guess, once every 2 weeks, and I'd write back to him and shit like that. And Walter was working with some local company drawing designs for heavy metal bands and T-shirts and shit like that, because Walter's a pretty good artist. So he sent me this design he had drawn of a bunch of weird characters, collection of characters, one of which was this clown in a garter belt, you know, and stockings, holding a chainsaw. And so I wrote him back, and I was just like, dude, don't put that on a shirt. I want to use that. I was like, we'll replace the chainsaw with a clapper, a film clapboard, and that'll be the company logo. And that's where the Vulgar the Clown logo came from, that we used for pretty much 10 years.
When he was in Vancouver, the oddest store opened up in this little town. It was a record store, like a record company, not a record store, but a guy who had managed death metal bands. And it was like, it was unbelievable that like in this little town there was just like this guy who put a little sign up in his window that he was local bands into death metal. He would try to get you record contracts. So I just happened to walk in there and I drew, and I was like, if you guys need art, you know, these are some of the samples I did. And he liked them, and he hooked me up with a couple bands, and I drew some things for them. And one of the things I drew that was some of the bands didn't like was a clown with a chainsaw with the garter belts on. And at this time I was corresponding with Kevin, and I sent him some of the artwork. I said, because I told him, you won't believe what opened up in Highlands. And he took a liking to the clown, and he said that I'm going to use that as my mascot, and we'll do a little animation about it to open the movie. And I was like, sure, I'll take a stab at it. And I had no idea what it would take to do it. And I just drew it hand by hand, all these clowns doing different things. And we took it up to New York, and some guy who did animation up there, he told us we had to cut it out, every little piece, and glue it on the animation cell. And that's how we did it. I mean, just got a book from the library, and it was showed that for every movement you had to draw a different page, different piece of paper for it. And on hindsight, if I had known, I would have drawn it on a cell, but we didn't do it that way. I just drew it on paper, shrunk the paper down, and cut out the individual characters, the clown and the boy, and then just pasted them on cell. And then he gave it to the animator, and then he filmed it.